Thanks indeed. Let's get straight into the Human Rights Commission.
Yeah.
Let's start there. They have said that your statements uttered at the People's Assembly in the Western Cape, those comments were tantamount to incitement, and they would like you to retract and do so publicly. Otherwise, the roads lead to the Equality Court. Are you willing to retract the statements?
But how do you, as a neutral body, just make a decision without talking to the other side? Because they never said to me, we received these complaints about you. What is your explanation? All I hear is that retract these statements in the next, else we're going to court. So you can see there is no neutrality. And they say there was display of posters at the EFF People's Assembly in the Western Cape. Those posters, you will know, are from 2013 launch of the EFF in Marikana. So someone went to remanufacture those posters and then sent to the Human Rights Commission. It doesn't even do investigation on basic things. That those things, EFF distanced itself from those posters which were displayed in Marikana. Now the Human Rights Commission says they were displayed in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
Because if they'd asked for an explanation from the EFF before coming into this determination, they would have given them information that this is actually wrong. This was from 2013, and the EFF is on record distancing itself from this. This is the context within which those things that you are saying are an incitement were made, and therefore do not constitute any incitement. Goli, you get information about me that this is the things I said. You ought to come to me and say, these are the allegations that are being made against you. What do you have to say? What do? You conclude and say, this is what you must do. And what must I say? You have already taken a decision about me. You can as well decide what you want to do with me, but I'm not going to apologize in 10 days. I'm not going to do it. They would rather take us to court. We have no problem going to court, and they will argue our case in court. But that body must be ashamed of itself, because the most basic principle of equality before the law is such that you must hear both sides. That principle has been violated.
That body,
yes,
Mr. Malema, is a Chapter 9 institution. And on the radio this morning, if I heard them correctly, they of the view that many of their recommendations, so they conduct investigations and their recommendations simply get ignored. Why am I saying this to you? You are a member of parliament. That makes you a lawmaker. Do you not run the risk of denigrating the stature of that body? Shouldn't you be leading by example and saying, okay, we'll comply because this is a constitutional body?
You're asking me to be violated because I'm a member of parliament. I make the law. I know the constitution. I'm not going to be violated because I'm a member of parliament. Nowhere in the constitution does it say members of parliament must be violated, even when it is openly clear. My brother, you ought to agree with me. I've got a right to be heard by the Human Rights Commission. It received complaints about me. It must give me an opportunity to make representations so that I justify the things I said. They make a conclusion without listening to me.
Yeah.
What type of democracy is that, where the other side is not being heard? Is it because I'm an African? Is it because I'm a child of a domestic worker that my view doesn't matter? That my side of the story doesn't matter? That the white man complained, and because the white man complained, his views are supreme than mine? I'm not going to allow that. Not from a Human Rights Commission, not from anyone, not even from the court. The court hears hardened criminals. They hear their side of the story. I'm making a political articulation. And Human Rights Commission, all they can do, what do you mean by this? At least even if they've taken a decision, let them be seen to be, listening to the other side. That's all.
Is that the best way for the EFF to deal with violence and racist behavior?
But Fanon deals with that in the Ratchet of the Earth. If you intensify your reading of Fanon, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The only way to add violence is to deal with it in a violent way, and racism is violence. What do you do, Koli? Because they never hear anything. The only language they know is the language they speak. So they ought to be put at their right place. Are you saying I am a racist by saying no racist must play next to the EFF?
No.
Am I racist?
The issue here is incitement.
What am I inciting? That
when you
that
say
no racist must play next to the EFF, is that an incitement?
No.
And,
when you
and
say
if they dare do that, nip it on the bud, cut the throat of racism and white supremacy.
When you say to the members of the EFF in that PPA that you must follow up, I expect you to follow up on that racist.
Yes.
That's incitement.
How is follow up an incitement?
What must they follow up on?
They must follow up on what happened to the racist, and they must intervene decisively.
What does that
Since
mean?
when is a follow up a problem? When I proposed a girl today, I follow up is an incitement. When I follow up, the English of 405 has changed. That follow up means violence. That's a distortion of the word. They must follow up on what happened to that racist who beat up not only black people, but black women. The white man till to date, despite the fact that cases were opened, is still not arrested because it's a white man. Had it been a black guy who unleashed such unjustifiable violence against a white woman, what would have happened to that black person? We ought to confront racism everywhere else where it raises its ugly head. And if it has not been attended to, it must be followed up so that no one dares to repeat such a similar mistake. What option are you giving me? Where are you when an African woman is beaten with a cricket bat? Where is the Human Rights Commission? The picture is there. If anything, you can't even play it here because it's not favoring your narrative. But the video is there of a white, well-built Afrikaner male beating up an African woman with a cricket bat. It's not an issue on the ENCA because the black lives, in the 4-5, the black life doesn't matter. I'm not going to buy into that narrative that black people must be beaten up and the next thing I must keep quiet. I'm not going to keep quiet. Do anything you want to do to me. I'm not going to keep quiet. I'm not going to allow the white Afrikaners in particular to perpetuate institutionalized racism in South Africa, and we keep quiet, and we are being silenced by institutions that must be coming into our defense. Where is the Human Rights Commission for that woman who was beaten there? Where are they? Do they think we're a soft target? Let them do what they want to do. We're not going to apologize for that.
Equality Court.
I'm not going to any Equality Court. They can go to Equality Court. What am I doing in Equality Court? You take me to Equality Court without listening to me first? What happened to those commissioners there who say they are standing for human rights? Why can't they stand for my rights? That an Indian legal head of legal in human rights commission decides on his own, because he thinks he's a deputy white, on his own to find me guilty and tell me to apologize without listening to me. They've done it to Zuma, they can do it to me as well, I don't care. But I'm not going to be a puppet of people who are advancing white supremacy and want to legitimize their nonsense at the expense of my rights, the rights that so many people died for. I'm not going to compromise on that.